So good morning to all. So today's lecture will be on aquifers, seepage, and springs. So something about aquifer. Aquifer is derived from Latin word that meaning is water-bearing strata or water-bearing uh, underground water. So however, do not use the term water-bearing unit. In hydrology or hydrogeology, we don't use water-bearing unit as a synonym for aquifer. Only we use aquifer. An aquifer is an underground layer of water-bearing permeable rock. Permeable means what? Water can easily go into the ground. So permeable rock. So it is an underground layer of water-bearing permeable rock that yields. I mean, from that we can yield or we can take out a significant, that is economical quantity of water for suitable quality. I mean, the quality should be good to wells or springs in economically unsuitable amounts. Economically usable amounts. So this aquifer is in general storage of underground water. From that we can take out the significant amount of water which is economical and which is drinkable or usable. So aquifer classifications. Actually, basically there are two types of aquifers. So confined aquifer, it is also called as artesian aquifer, and second one is unconfined aquifer, that is water table aquifer. So and third one is purged aquifer. What is purged aquifer? I will tell you later. An aquifer that is immediately overlain by low permeability unit, confining layer. A confined aquifer does not have a water table. So with photograph I will explain what is confined and unconfined. Unconfined is water table aquifer. This is directly connected to the upper surface of the ground. So the upper surface of the aquifer is the water table, and water table aquifer are directly overlain an unsaturated zone or a surface water body. So third one is purged aquifer, a location unconfined aquifer at a higher elevation than the regional unconfined aquifer, and an unsaturated zone is present between the two unconfined aquifer. With diagrams I will explain this all. So just see this diagram. So here you can see basically there are two types of aquifer: unconfined aquifer and confined aquifer. So you can see the difference here. Here the unconfined aquifer is directly connected to the surface of the earth. You can see here. So just below the ground, if the permeable rock is there, and this if the storage of water is there, that is called as confined aquifer, and that is called as permeable. This is permeable rock formation. Confined aquifer is what? After unconfined aquifer, there is an impervious bed. You can see this impervious bed, and below this impervious bed, there is a storage of water. So this will be always in pressure, water pressure. So this type of aquifers are called as confined aquifers. So these aquifers are under normal gravitational pressure or ground pressure. This will be under water pressure. This water pressure will be there on this aquifer because this water will not go up. To take out this water, we have to drill a well. So you can see this is under normal pressure, unconfined aquifer, and this is confined aquifer which is under water pressure. So this will be always below the impervious layer. Impervious layer means what? In this layer, there will not be any water. Water will not store or transmit from this layer. So I hope you understood the confined and unconfined aquifer. Another diagram is there, you can see here. So here also you can see this is confined aquifer directly connected to the surface of the earth and which acts on normal atmospheric pressure. And here you can see blue color layer is there. This is impervious layer, and below this impervious layer there is a water storage. So this will be always under pressure, impervious layer pressure, or you can say sandwiched aquifer, because below this also there is a impervious layer, hard rock. So this is hard rock and this is also impervious layer. So these two acts are the same, because here also the water is not storing and also not transmitting. Here also the water is not storing and transmitting. So in between these two there is a water layer column that is called as confined aquifer. So sandwiched water table, water aquifer. Then perched aquifer, it is a part of what you can say unconfined aquifer. It is a part of unconfined aquifer. You can see here, this is ground level, okay, and here there is a small patch of impervious layer that is called as aquitard. This is a small patch of impervious layer, and other this one is all pervious layer from which water can easily seeps into the ground. So this is pervious layer, and this one is only this patch is called as aquitard or perched. So what happens when the water percolates from the ground, from the surface, from this layer it will not go down. So from this layer what happens, so this water will percolate here, but this will not go below this layer. So because of this what happens, the water will store above this impervious layer. So this storage of water, this type of storage of water or this type of aquifers are called as perched aquifers. So this type of aquifers are called as perched aquifers. So here also you can see here there is an impervious layer. Here also there is an impervious layer. Sometimes it may contact with the ground and sometimes it will not. You can see here impervious layer is there. The water has percolated from the ground and it has stored here. So it has created another storage, groundwater storage, that is called as perched aquifer. And this is the normal water table. You can see here also there is a normal water table here. Okay, so this is in unconfined aquifer. See the difference between unconfined aquifer and perched aquifer. Perched aquifers are very small, small in size compared to unconfined aquifers. Then some terms are there, geological units are there, which you use in hydrogeology. So these are the terms used in hydrogeology. So you can see, uh, obviously, first one is aquifer. Aquifer is a saturated, permeable geological unit that can transmit significant amount of water under ordinary hydraulic gradient. Hydraulic gradient means hydraulic pressure. So normal hydraulic pressure, so the water will seeps into the ground. So obviously it is a saturated zone and it is a permeable geological unit. So this type of formation, that is aquifer, can contain the water or retain the water and transmit the water. So it can, from this layer water can store and transmit. Okay, and second term is aquitard. Aquitard, you can see here, this is also geological unit. It is also permeable, but permeable enough to transmit the groundwater in quantity significantly to regional groundwater flow, but not permeable enough to allow the producing groundwater wells. So we can see here This contains water, transmission is very insignificant. So it will contain the water, but it will not allow the water to go down. So transmission is very little. Small amount of water will go transmit from this layer. That is called as aquitard. Aquiclude. Another word is aquiclude, a saturated geological unit that is incapable of transmitting significant quantity of water in ordinary hydraulic gradient. So this will contain the water, but it will not doesn't pass the water. So what will happen? Whatever infiltrate water is there, that will contain or retain into that particular layer. But this stored water will not transmit below this layer. This aquitard contains some amount of water, transmit little bit amount of water. Transmission is there, but very little amount of water. Here, water will store, but it will not transmit a single drop of water. Okay, like confining layers, clay. That is example is clay. Then aquefuge, absolutely impervious layer that will not transmit the groundwater. This will neither contains the water nor transmits the water. So here there will not be water will not be there, and also it will not transmit the water. Just remember these terms. Aquifer is this contains the water or this stores the water but also transmits the water, same amount of water. In aquitard what happens? This will contain some amount of water but transmit little amount of water. Aquiclude, this contains or this stores the water but doesn't transmit a single drop of water. And aquefuge is what? Neither condenses the water nor transmits the water. I hope you understood. Oh, that is about aquifers. There were two types of aquifers basically, confined and unconfined. Unconfined aquifers are what? Which are influenced by normal hydraulic pressure, that is atmospheric pressure, and confined aquifers is under impervious layer pressure, or you can say hydraulic pressure. So now we'll discuss about the seepage, effluent and influent seepage. So generally seepage is what? It is nothing but infiltration of groundwater. So whatever rainfall has occurred, that will go inside. That infiltration is called as seepage. Just remember this. So seepage is the movement of water into or out of the ground. So sometimes what happens? Water will go inside or come out. How? I will tell you later. So on the basis of that, which comes out and goes in, there are two types of seepages. One is effluent seepage, is the water that percolates or flows into an aquifer or into the ground. So you can see here, this will go into the aquifer. Just remember this. So from ground, the water will go inside the ground. So water will go inside the ground from the surface of the earth. So this is called as effluent seepage. Okay. And second one is effluent. Influent and influent means inside the ground. Effluent means outside the ground. So what happens? Whatever ground storage is there inside the ground, like aquifer, from that aquifer the water will come out. So water will come out. That is called as effluent. So you can see effluent seepage is the water that flows out or emanates as a surface streams from lakes or streams. So what happens here? The stored water will come out from that from uh, contact when the ground is connected to the what you can say, surface of the earth. So from that the water will come out. Ultimately what happens, from the stored water, groundwater, water will come out. I will give example. You can see, with example you can easily understand. The influent seepage into the ground through the unsaturated zone to the water table is controlled by law of seepage. Law of seepage means porosity, permeability. So this infiltration of water, influent means water will go inside. So this will controlled by what? Porosity, permeability. So this all laws of seepage will control the influent seepage. While effluent seepage occurs only in saturated materials where the water table is intersects the ground surface, and such seepage discharge move according to the law of percolation. So with diagram I will explain this one. Just see this diagram. So you can see here the water will go inside. Here, from here water will go inside. Okay, this is called as influent. Okay, and this stored water below this is all stored water. Okay, and this stored water come out from the surface, come out from on the surface. Okay, this is called as, when the water will come out, that is called as effluent. Okay, so water which recharges below the ground, that is called as that is called as effluent. In general, effluent seepage is the water that gets into the surface, such as rains, meltwater, infiltrates into the ground. So generally effluent water gets from rains and meltwater from the ice. So to recharge the ground, to go inside the ground, the what you can say, the effluent seepage gets water from rains and melt ice, whereas the effluent water is the water that gets out of the surface or re-emerges at the surface as a springs. Springs we'll discuss in detail later. And sips, stream flows, lake water, well waters. So water, well water, you can see in wells or in lakes you can see. So this is the reason of effluent. So what happens, general terms you can see here. So this is nothing but the water table, as you know, upper surface of the saturated zone. So this is all blue color is water table. So if the water table is below this is the valley. This is the valley. If this water table is valley, below this valley, there will not be any effluent water. There will not be any effluent water. If this water table fluctuates towards the ground due to saturation, due to infiltration of groundwater, this will come up towards the surface. And because of this, there is a contact between ground and underground water. So from here, what happens? The water will come out. This is called as effluent water. Source. What is the source? I told you about this one. Source of effluent. Obviously, it is rainfall and streams. So streams means what? Sometimes from upper areas like rivers are there. Rivers will carry the water from melted ice and rainfall will occur. So these two are there, which is the source of influent seepage. So when rainfall will occur, water will go inside. When stream will carry the water in unsaturated zone or infiltrate zone, So water will percolate into the ground. This is called nothing but influent seepage. Whatever the source of may be, the influent seepage must pass through the zone of suspended water. Suspended water means unconsolidated water, unsaturated water. That is ODA zone. So whatever water goes inside, this will goes through ODA zone or suspended water, including the capillary fringe. I hope you know the distribution of groundwater. In that we have capillary fringe. Hence, hydrological characters of soil and underlying material controls the influent seepage from the rainfall. So hydrological characters means what? Porosity, permeability. If porosity is more, permeability is more. If permeability is more, what will happen? Whatever water percolates or infiltrates in the ground, that will go rapidly below the ground. And also porosity. Porosity is important because if the porosity is more, water holding capacity will be more. So obviously, what will happen? So water will come up. However, the seepage, runoff, and evaporation depends upon the many factors as ground slope. Slope is also very important. If the slope is steep, what will happen? The seepage of water will be there, but runoff will be more because it will contact, the water table will contact with surface of the ground, and that surface of the ground, what will happen? Water will come out. And type of rocks, it is also very important. If sandstone is there, water holding capacity will be more compared to basalts and granites. Then soil formation, what type of soil formation is there? Whether it is pervious soil formation is there or impervious soil formation is there. If sandy soil is there, what will happen? Water can go inside very easily. If suppose loamy soil is there or impervious soil is there, what will happen? Water will trap there and runoff will be more. So infiltration will be very less. Vegetation cover is also very important. If vegetation cover is there, what will happen? Water holding capacity, or you can say the water will go inside very easily because of roots of vegetation. There will be fracture or weathered zones. Influent seepage which reaches at water table is called groundwater increment. So what happens, whatever water seeps or seeps into the ground, that will go directly to the groundwater table, saturated zone. So this will what happen? Because of this, the water table will come towards the surface, ground surface. So this is called as groundwater increment because of rainfall. So this is a source of influent seepage. Then stream flows is the another important source of groundwater influent seepage. Obviously, what I told you about, the stream will come. You can see here, this is a cross section of stream. You can see here, this is a valley and this is a stream. So stream is coming towards you. So you can see, because of this, what happens? The water will go inside. This the water is going inside. This is nothing but again influent seepage. So because of this, what happens? It creates a dome-like structure, or you can see mountain-like structure. This mountain-like dotted line is nothing but water table. So you can see here, this is groundwater mount. It is called as groundwater mount. So it creates a mount-like structure, that is nothing but groundwater mount. So groundwater mounts are two types. You can see here, those which are not contact with the surface water. So you can see here, this mount is not connected with the surface water. This mount, second one. But this mount is directly connected with the groundwater. Those who contact with the surface water. Factors such as depth of water table, presence of pervious rocks between the water table and the surface water plays an important role. If suppose in this is the in between surface and the water table, if the impervious rock is there, the water will not go to up to the water table, because impervious layer will not allow the water to go inside. So there it is very important to have impervious layer. And sometimes what happens, if the saturation is more, you can see here in this case saturation is more, the water table is above the ground, above the channel. So in this case what happens, effluent seepage will occur. So effluent seepage means water will come out from the groundwater. So effluent seepage or the groundwater discharge, it is also called groundwater discharge, is through springs or seepage faces. Seepage faces means the hilly mounts, slopes are called as seepage faces. Springs usually occur in the place where the aquifers are dissected by the erosional channels or along the trace of tectonic fractures. In detail, we'll discuss what is the springs and all, but just remember, effluent seepage is nothing but groundwater discharge, and that groundwater discharge is nothing but springs. So we have discussed effluent and influent seepage. So now we'll discuss springs and artesian well. So springs and artesian well, only one type of well I will discuss, artesian well. So springs are nothing but in normal language, as you know, in Marathi it is called Zara. So ultimately, springs are nothing but effluent or effluent. I'll tell you. You can see here. This is influent seepage. Influent seepage is nothing but springs. So what happens here? From groundwater to the surface, the water will come out. So you can see here. So blindly water is coming out. Blindly means what? From groundwater water is coming out. So that is called as springs. So water infiltrates into the ground and becomes groundwater. Okay. It eventually drain out at lower landscape, lower in the landscape under the influence of gravity. So due to gravity, what happens? Water will come out. Such discharge is called as springs. So for this, what is required? I will tell you. There should be recharge area. You can see here. This is the recharge area, full recharge area, and there should be discharge area. So what happens? Whatever water is percolating here, water is percolating here. You can see water due to rains, water will percolate, and here there will be opening. Here there will be opening, and from that opening, what happens? The water will come out. So this opening is called as discharge area, and this discharge area is called as spring. So why it is happening, I will tell you. So springs are locations of water discharging. I told you, wherever water discharging is there at the lower ground level, so that is called as springs. Discharging out of the ground, uh, onto the land surface. In general, structurally weakened plains. Structurally weakened plains means, as you know, joints are there. Structurally weakened plains, fractures are there, small scale faults are there. So all these are the all good avenues or sites for movement of spring water. So these are the locations. If this all things are there, structurally weakened plains are there, obviously there will be springs. Direct infiltration of rainwater through joints, fractures, weathered zones of the rocks and through soil cover is principal mode of recharge of the spring. So direct infiltration of rainfall. through the joints, fractures, weathered zones. Obviously, it is nothing but infiltration of groundwater. Rainwater. So this is very important for springs. If this is not there, there will not be any springs. Relative flat areas on top of the hill or and ridges. So for recharge areas, the hilly region should be flat, so that more and more water will be sipped or infiltrated into the ground. Those are called for potential recharge areas. Whereas steepen hill slope dominating from the areas of spring recharge. Wherever the steepen slopes are there, you can see here. So you can see here there is steepen slopes. You can see this is steepen slope. Okay. So what happens? Uh, these are the very good location for discharge of water or springs. So most of times for discharge of water or discharge of springs, they should have steepen slopes or very high angle slopes. Springs are usually identified on maps and aerial photographs. So how to identify in aerial photographs and all? The concentration of trees and plants in specific location. So where there will be one channel, one blind channel will be there, uh, which is which will be having high amount of concentration of trees and plants. So this type of locations will be having maximum amount of springs. Spring provide the water to support abundant plant life in areas where little else grows. I mean, Banjar areas, like there will not be anything. In that area, springs provide a very good amount of water and that will grow good amount of plants. Springs are intermediate feature of groundwater and surface water. Hence, springs represent both. So obviously, springs are connected with both with groundwater and surface water. Groundwater in the sense rivers and all. Springs are the major sources of water to the streams, rivers, and most of the what you can say lakes. The composition of spring water varies with the character of the surrounding soil or rocks. So, so composition means in the sense the quality of water will be depending upon surrounding rock and soil type. If limestone is there, the quality of spring water will be not good. If the hard rock is there, compact rock is there, or not soluble rock is there, insoluble rock is there, that time the spring water will be very uh, drinkable or usable. Quality will be very good. Volume of flow of any given spring may vary with the season and amount of rainfall. Seepage springs often fail in periods of drought or little rainfall. So ultimately what it is saying is, so amount of water should be more. If the spring should run for longer time, the amount of water should be more. And most of the times, if you go to Amboli and all those things, we see the seasonal springs. Because of what? During rainy season only there will be infiltration of water, rainfall water. And in drought or in summer season, there will not be any rainfall. Because of that, the springs are dried. Some springs have fairly constant and even large uh, volume of flow, may serve as a source of domestic or municipal water supply. So most of times what happens, the springs are the some springs are there, those are perennial. Perennial means 12 months the water will come from that particular region. So If the water is continuously coming from that what you can say discharge point, those points are called as perennial springs. So 12 months water will come out. If the discharge is not continuous or restricted only after the rainy season or during high water table stage, this is termed as temporary or intermittent springs. So temporary springs, these are called temporary springs, which are run only during the rainy season. Some are there like sometimes what happens during summer season, melting of ice will be there. So sometimes the water will come into the recharge areas and recharge area will get the water to infiltrate and there will be springs will be activated. So these which are not depending upon rain, these are called as periodic springs. These are called as periodic springs. So three types of springs are there on the basis of origin, uh, perennial, temporary and periodic. So temporary springs, these are from Amboli. These photos are from Amboli. This is I think origin of I don't remember, but these are from Amboli region. Amboli region, all springs are temporary or seasonal, and some are perennial. Most of the areas have perennial springs, which gives water throughout the year. Spring can be divided into two. So see here carefully. Resulting from those which are resulting from non-gravitational forces. So volcanic springs or thermal springs are the example of non-gravitational springs. So what happens normally? What happens? The water will come from top to bottom or from surface to the underground. So, but during volcanic spring, what happens? Water will rush from the underground towards the surface. So this is nothing but non-gravitational forces. So some are resulting from gravitational forces. Most of the springs are resulted from gravitational forces. So these are the examples. So fracture springs, bedding springs, alluvial fan spring, water table spring, and basin springs. So one by one we'll discuss. First we'll discuss non-gravitational forces. So you can see here, these are the non-gravitational springs or thermal springs. The volcanic or a thermal spring is hot spring originating from the great depth. As we go deep into the ground, the temperature of the ground will increase. So because or sometimes it go up to the mantle. Hence, what happens? Water which is getting this heat warms up and it will try to rush toward the surface. So it will form geysers. You can see this is the recharge of ground recharge areas. So these are the ground recharge areas you can see here. So from the ground, from here the ground is recharging. So you can see there is a underground channel here, which is coming here. So this is a aquifer, and you can see below this the warm layer of rock, which is giving the heat to the stored water or aquifer. So what will happen? This water will heat up and will boil and come out as a web, what you can say hot spring or geyser. This is called as volcanic geyser. So you can see like this the spring will come out, that is called a thermal spring or volcanic geyser it is called. So other non-gravitational gravitational springs are there. So one by one we'll discuss. So there are contact springs are there, uh, meteoric springs are there, inverted siphon springs are there, fault springs are there, valley depression springs are there, spring at foot of the alluvial fan. So which are there in your syllabus we'll discuss now. Only few are there. Not all types of springs are there. So one by one we'll discuss. So these are fractured springs, you can see here. So as you know, there will be joints in the rock or fractures in the ground. So what happens due to this? What happens? The water will percolate, and you can see this diagram. So these are the fractures, okay, and which has inclined fractures are there, and the ground surface. So from here, what will happen? Water will percolate. You can see here, and at the angle of what you can say fracture, the water will run towards the surface of the ground. So from here, wherever there is a contact between ground and this groundwater, underground water, the water will come out. Water will come out as a spring. This is called as fractured spring. So you can see. So ultimately, what I'm telling is, in fractured areas or fractured rocks, the water will store, and wherever there is a contact between fractures and ground, from that the water will come out. You can see here. So these are nothing but fractured springs. Sometimes there will be bedding spring. So bedding spring means what? Uh, Bedding means layers. Stratigraphic layers are there, or sedimentation layers. You can see this is one layer, this is one layer, this is one layer. But these layers are of impervious bed. They are called impervious bed. So impervious bed will be having, as you know, it will not store the water or will not transmit the water. So what happens? So whatever water percolates from the ground, so water percolates from the ground, from here, it will recharge the ground, and from here stored water will come out, where the contact between impervious layer and pervious layer is there. From this point the water will come out as a spring. So this type of springs are called as bedding spring, because these are two types of beds, and the contact between pervious bed and impervious bed, there's a contact is there. Because this is pervious, water will store into this particular bed. This is impervious, water will not store or transmit. So what happens? There will be storage of water here, and whichever storage of water will be there, that will go away from this junction. This is called as bedding spring. Then aerial fan springs means what? As you know, aerial fans are nothing but what happens during, along the hilly region. Rainfall will occur, and there will be weathering of rocks, and the weathered material will be carried by rivers or channels, and those will deposited below the foothills of the mountains. So you can see the sediment which is carried by the river or streams, it is deposited here, and it is in fan-like structure that is called as alluvial fans. Sometimes what happens, I will draw some diagram, I will show you. So this is the, I'll draw the cross section. Suppose this is the alluvial fan like this. This is a cross section. This is a river. This is a river channel, and here this is a junction between hills and the foothill. This is the foothill. Okay. So this is a ground surface, and this is a deposited sediment or alluvial fan sediments. So what happens here? So whatever stream is coming here at this junction, this will disappear. Why this disappears? Because the deposited material is pervious. So pervious material will be having what you can say storage capacity. So what happens? The water will not flow above these fans. So what happens? This will go below the fans, and wherever the end of the fan is there, from there the water will come out. So this is called as alluvial fans. You can see this is the river channel with the where coming, and here the water will not come above this fan. Wherever there is a junction, there is a end of fan from the ground, below the ground, the water will come out from here. So that this is called as alluvial springs. So this is a description of alluvial fan spring. It occurs in the areas of rocks and sand at the mouth of the canyon coming of the mountains. So at the foothills of the mountains, there will be alluvial fans from where the water is going inside the fans and it coming out from the fans only. So you can read out because I have told everything about this one. And next one is which is very important, that is water table spring, or it is called as contact spring. So we have already seen this diagram. So here you can see in normal conditions what happens. There will be recharge area. This is a ground mountain area. So there will be recharge area here. Recharge area will be there. So what happens due to recharge area? This impervious layer, all impervious layer is there or aquifer is there. So what will happen? Whichever infiltrated water will be there, that will store into the ground, and this is the water table. So wherever there is a junction between ground and water table, here the water will come out as a spring. This is called a contact spring. So below this there will be saturated. This all is saturated zone, and this is unsaturated zone. But water is percolating down. So wherever there is a junction between water table and ground, from here the water will come out. Here you can see. So this is the water table, and this is the junction between water table and ground. So from here water is coming out. Sometimes it may go directly to the streams. Sometimes it will be waterfalls. You can see here. These are the waterfalls. So obviously water table will be up to this one. So if the water table goes below this one, this spring will be dead, or you can say water will not come from the spring. So next one is contact water springs. Contact water springs found by the seepage of water along the, it was the same with water table. So but here what happens, in earlier case there was no impervious bed. Here there was no impervious bed in the inside the ground, but here what happens, this is a pervious bed, this is a brown color is pervious bed, and this yellowish color is impervious bed. So what happens, whatever water percolates, uh, this will store here, and after storing, the if the water table goes up, if the water table goes up to this one, so what will happen, wherever there is a contact between this impervious layer and pervious layer to the ground, from here the water will come out. You can see from here blindly water is coming out. So this is nothing but contact water springs. Sometimes same aquifer but small amount. You can see impervious bed is here, small impervious bed is there. On that there is a purged aquifer, and here what happens, the water will come out. So this is small amount of water which is coming out, uh, that is called as purged aquifer. So purged aquifer springs are very what can say, which has very less life. So it will not flow for longer time. It will be very short time flowing. I mean, flow of water will be there because storage of water is very less compared to large aquifers like this. Then next one is basin springs. Sometimes what happens, so you can see here, there will be ground like this, ground like this. So what happens here, the water table will be up to this one, and here what happens, the water will this is a lake, just imagine this is a lake. Okay, so what happens, from this lake or from this basin, water will go and go into the another lower basin, lower basin. If this will fill, after filling this will go to the next basin. So there is a what you can say, transmission of one basin to another basin, or flow from one basin to another basin. This type of springs are called as basin springs, but they are always interconnected with one another. So you can say like this. I hope you understood. Next one is artesian spring. So you can see artesian spring means what? These are occurred in confined aquifers. So confined aquifer is always under pressure. You can see impervious rock is there. Here also impervious rock is there. You can see this. This is a fault line. You can see here. A faulting is occurred. So what happens here? This is a natural faulting is there and natural spring is there. Springs are always natural. You can see here. This is a hydraulic pressure. So you can see from here the water is recharging from this particular point. Okay, because water will not recharge from this area because it is an impervious layer. So from only from this layer the water will recharge and go inside. So what happens, this will fill up to this one, but it doesn't have any place to come out. But because of this fault, there is a line of you can say opening is there. So from this line water will rush toward the surface and will come as a fountain, come out as a fountain. This type of springs are called as fault springs, and this will act as an impervious bed. This red fault plane is there, no fault is there, this will act as a impervious bed. Another type of spring is there, that is karst topography spring. So here you can see this is a karst topography.
सर
Huh?
सर ते प्रीवियस स्लाइड ते जरा क्लिअर करून दाखवा की प्रीवियस स्लाइड सर ते विदाउट पेनचं आहे
one second. This one?
हाँ सर ते क्लिअर करा की जरा
क्लियर आहे की?
ओ नाही सर ते पेन यूज केला बघा हाँ स्क्रीनशॉट घ्यायचा आहे
Okay.
हाँ वेट सर हाँ सर
Okay, next one. So this one is last spring, that is karst topography spring. So sometimes what happens, there is be in limestone what happens, there will be caves inside because limestone is soluble in water. So inside the ground there will be formation of caves. So whatever water percolates into the ground, that will store into these caves, and sometimes what happens, these caves are connected with the ground surface. So if the water table goes above this cave, or you can say karst topography, wherever there is a contact between these caves and ground surface is there, from there water will come out. You can see here as a spring. So this type of springs are called as water table springs. Oh, sorry, karst topographic springs. So last one, artesian well. So artesian well, so there are types of well. Dug well is there, then bore well is there, and this is the artesian well. So three types are there: artesian well, dug well, and bore well. So this is the artesian well. So this occurs in confined aquifer. You can see here what happens. So you can see this is a recharge area. From here the water recharges into the ground. Okay. So what happens again, this water, stored water, is under pressure, and because of this it creates a piezometric surface. This is called as piezometric surface. The upper surface of the confined or water table of the confined aquifer. Water table of the confined aquifer is called as piezometric surface. So up to this the pressure is there. So suppose in this confined aquifer, if I drill a borehole, here you can see here you can see. So up to this we have drilled a borehole into the confined aquifer, but pressure or piezometric surface is up to this one. So what happens due to this pressure, hydraulic pressure? What happens? Water rushes into towards the ground as a fountain. So many times you must have seen the wells, boreholes, which are without pumping. Those water is coming out from the surface as a fountain. This is because below the ground there is a confined aquifer, and because of that, this flowing water is called as flowing artesian wells. Thank you. If you have any